Take a deep breath and let the world fade away. You've been carrying a weight that wasn't yours to bear. It's a heaviness in your chest that doesn't lift with sleep, a subtle, lingering fog that has settled over your joy. You might think you're just tired, but deep in your spirit, you know this is different. You feel a friction in the air, an invisible wind pushing against you just as you were about to step into your light. If you feel like you are being hunted by shadows you cannot name, stay with me. This silence is not an absence, it is a preparation. Over the next hour, we are going to uncover the hidden signs that you are under spiritual attack, and how the Father is using this very moment to rebuild you from the inside out. The air around you feels thick, like the atmosphere before a heavy storm, where the birds go silent and the leaves hold their breath. This isn't just exhaustion. This is the shadow of a battle you cannot see with your eyes, but you can certainly feel with your soul. Imagine for a moment that you are walking through a valley at twilight. The path is narrow, and the walls of the canyon seem to lean in, whispering doubts into the cool evening air. You feel a sudden, inexplicable desire to simply sit down and let the darkness take over.
This is the first hidden sign, a sudden, overwhelming spirit of heaviness that targets your purpose. It is not a biological tiredness, it is a strategic dampening of your fire. When the enemy sees a light that is about to illuminate a dark place, his first move is to try and blow out the flame before it reaches the oil. You are not failing. You are being resisted because you are moving in the right direction.
Think back to the prophet Elijah. He had just witnessed the fire of God fall from heaven, a moment of mountaintop victory that should have fueled him for a lifetime. But then, a single word of threat sent him running into the dry, burning heat of the wilderness. Imagine the grit of the sand in his sandals, the salt of his sweat stinging his eyes, and the hollow ache in his stomach. He wasn't just physically spent, he was under an assault of the mind. He sat under a solitary broom tree, the only shade in a vast expanse of nothingness, and whispered that he had had enough. He felt a sudden, inexplicable desire to give up, to disappear, to believe that his work was in vain. That is the nature of the attack. It waits until you are isolated, until the adrenaline of the victory has faded, and then it whispers that the struggle is permanent. But listen closely to the silence of that desert. God did not meet Elijah's despair with a lecture. He met it with a meal and a nap. He addressed the body so he could reach the spirit. If you feel that same broom tree weariness tonight, know that your Father is not disappointed in your weakness. He is preparing a table for you in the presence of this very shadow. The bread is warm, the water is cool, and the rest is divine.
As the night grows deeper, you might find that the attack shifts from your emotions to your peace of mind. You wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, your heart racing for no reason you can name. The room is still, the air is cool, but your mind is a chaotic hive of what-ifs and not-enoughs. This is the second sign, the disruption of the sanctuary. Your mind was designed to be a place of meditation and communion, but the attack seeks to turn it into a courtroom where you are the only defendant. You are presented with evidence of your past mistakes, your current inadequacies, and your future fears. It feels like a persistent, nagging cloud of confusion that makes even the simplest decisions feel like climbing a mountain. But remember the atmosphere of the upper room, when the doors were locked and the disciples were trembling in fear. The walls were thick, the enemies were outside, and the hope was fading. And yet, Jesus did not knock. He simply stood in their midst and spoke the only words that matter in a storm. Peace, be still.
He didn't wait for the attack to end before he offered the peace. He brought the peace into the center of the attack. In this moment, let those same words settle into your bones. Peace, be still.
The confusion is not your identity. The racing thoughts are not your truth. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a child of the Most High, and your mind is being reclaimed. When you are under spiritual attack, one of the most subtle signs is the sudden loss of your spiritual appetite. You find that the songs that once brought tears of joy to your eyes now feel like empty noise. The scriptures that once felt like cold water to a thirsty soul now feel like dry ink on a page. This is the third sign, the thinning of the veil. The enemy knows that your strength is found in your intimacy with the Father, so he attempts to place a veil of apathy over your heart. He wants you to feel bored with the things of God. He wants you to feel that your prayers are falling on deaf ears, or worse, that you have forgotten how to pray entirely. Consider the woman who had spent 12 long years in a cycle of suffering. She had spent everything she had. She had seen every doctor, and she was only getting worse. She was tired, not just in her body, but in her very essence. Yet when she heard that the healer was passing by, she didn't wait for a formal invitation. She moved in her weakness. She pressed through the crowd, through the dust of the street and the heat of the midday sun, until she could see the hem of his garment. Her touch was not one of strength, it was a touch of desperation. And in that moment, power left him. The attack that had held her for over a decade was shattered in a single second because she refused to let the apathy of her situation win.
If you feel that same coldness in your heart tonight, do not try to manufacture a feeling. Simply reach out your hand in the dark. A whisper is enough. Observe the fourth sign, the sudden flare-up of old wounds. You thought you had forgiven. You thought you had moved past the trauma. But suddenly, out of nowhere, a memory returns with the sharp sting of a fresh blade. The attack loves to use your history as a weapon against your future. Think of Peter sitting by the charcoal fire on the shore of Galilee after the resurrection. The smell of the smoke must have taken him right back to the night of his greatest failure. The enemy wanted Peter to stay by that first fire, the fire of shame. But Jesus built a second fire. He didn't bring up the denial. He only asked about the love. "Do you love me?" he asked. With every yes, a layer of the attack was peeled away. The enemy brings up your past to remind you of your debt, but God brings up your past to show you the receipt of your redemption. The night is halfway through its journey, and the stars are shifting in their courses. There is a fifth sign that many overlook, the sudden increase in conflict within your closest relationships. Misunderstandings arise out of thin air. Harsh words are spoken without thought. A spirit of division tries to wedge itself between you and those who support you. The enemy is a master of isolation. If he can make you feel that no one understands you, he can make you a much easier target. But the person across the table from you is not your enemy. They are often under the same pressure you are. Instead of reacting in anger, imagine yourself stepping back and seeing the invisible strings trying to pull you apart. When you choose to speak a word of grace, you are effectively cutting those strings. You are reclaiming the atmosphere of your home. As we continue, we encounter the sixth sign, the sudden onset of physical and mental fatigue that defies natural explanation. You have slept, yet you wake up weary. This is the sign of the wearying of the saints. Imagine a great river that has been diverted by a small, hidden blockage. On the surface, the water still flows, but the power behind it has diminished. The enemy doesn't always need a dam to stop you. He only needs enough debris to slow you down. Look to Moses. When his hands grew heavy, he sat on a stone and allowed Aaron and Hur to stand on either side of him. If your hands feel heavy tonight, it is time to sit on the stone. That stone is the finished work of the cross. You do not have to hold yourself up. You are being held. Observe the seventh sign, a strange, unsettling feeling of impending doom. It is a spiritual smog designed to suffocate your faith. The attack tries to get you to use your imagination to build a future where God is absent. But consider the servant of Elisha who saw the army surrounding the city. He cried out in terror, but Elisha asked God to open the young man's eyes. And when his eyes were opened, he saw that the hills were filled with horses and chariots of fire. Your anxiety is
is a result of looking at the horizon with natural eyes. Right now, in the spirit, the hills around your life are burning with the fire of God's protection. The doom you feel is a lie told by a defeated foe.
The night is reaching its deepest point, and here the 8th sign reveals itself, the sudden loss of direction. You feel lost in a forest where every tree looks the same. This is the spirit of wandering. It aims to make you turn in circles until you are too dizzy to move forward. But remember the pillar of cloud and fire. They didn't have a map, they had a presence. If you feel lost tonight, it is because the guide is teaching you a new way to listen. He is not leading you in circles. He is leading you in a spiral, upward and inward. When you finally stop trying to find the path, you will realize that the path is holding your hand.
We encounter the 9th sign, the sudden feeling of isolation. You feel misunderstood and entirely alone. But remember Elijah once more. He thought he was the only one left. But God whispered back, I have reserved 7,000 others. You are part of a hidden remnant. Right now, across the world, there are thousands of others breathing the same prayers. You are not a solitary target. You are part of a vast spiritual army.
Look for the 10th sign, the storm in the small things. A series of minor, irritating obstacles cluster together. The car won't start. A small bill is overdue. A minor disagreement. This is tactical attrition. It is an attempt to make you blow your testimony over a small thing. When the small things start to go wrong, stop and smile. Instead of frustration, offer a sacrifice of praise. Praise is the sound of a heart that refuses to be agitated. As we enter the final watch, the 11th sign appears, the loudness of the lie. Just before a breakthrough, the voices of doubt get louder. The enemy roars because he has lost his bite. He uses volume to make up for his lack of authority. Do not answer the roar with an argument. Answer it with a shout of victory. Finally, the 12th sign, the labor pains of the new. You feel a restlessness that you cannot explain. Your old routines feel tight. This is not destruction, it is growth. You are not being buried, you are being planted.
Now let the restoration begin. Lord, I release the heavy air of this night. I hand over the bricks of worry I have been carrying, one by one. I speak to the confusion in my mind and command the peace of God to take its place. My mind is a sanctuary. I speak to the fatigue in my bones. Father, renew my strength like the eagles. I speak to the isolation. I recognize the lie that I am alone. I speak to the roar of the enemy. Your lies do not define me. Lord, let your grace settle upon this soul like the early morning dew. Restore the years that the locust has eaten. Rebuild the ruins and make them into a palace of praise. As the listener moves into this day, let your presence be the atmosphere they breathe. The night is gone. The light is here. The restoration has begun. You are safe. You are whole. You are His. Amen.